I'm Mason Adams. I'm the creator of the new game Sin Rummy, and I just wanted to add a personal note to the project to talk a little bit about why it's important to me, and some of my thoughts around how it was designed. I've always been a card player my whole life. I remember I would think I was in fifth grade, and my mom signed me up to learn bridge, and it was probably 30 retired old ladies and me, and of course they were all total sharks. And then I started playing Magic around Revised, and I've played for the last 25 years. And I've always loved Rummy just because of how simple it is, how easy it is to pick up a game, and it was the name that came to me first, Sin Rummy. It just stuck in my head, and so it was a top-down design. I had the name first. And so when a friend sent me the list of Gandhi's 7 social sins, I knew right away that it just clicked, and that was it. Because to me, the social sins are really amazing. They're really about introspection, and instead of an outward judgment, it's more of a question that you ask yourself. From there, once I had the social sins, I started to create the mechanics of the game, like how they would come to life and how they would really be embodied in the way the game was played out. Just to talk a little bit about that, I'm going to share this card, Pleasure Without Conscience. And when you hear pleasure without conscience, it's really, it's almost surprising in a way, because it's saying, of course, pleasure is not wrong. What is it to indulge and seek pleasure without having a conscience about it? And the card itself, this card, Impulse. So the mechanic is simple. Whenever another player would discard a card, you may immediately trade it out with a card in your hand. And as a mechanic, it's actually really interesting, because especially in a multiplayer game where people are playing and you want a card, but you're not going to get access to it because you have to wait 3 turns as it comes around. But with Impulse, you can actually immediately switch it out. It unlocks a lot of different strategies where you can aggressively swap out cards, even if you don't have a possible meld. Like in a 2-player game of Gin Rummy, you can immediately swap out with your opponent's discard, and then you would take your normal turn. So you're able to quickly turn and shift strategies depending on what they're discarding and what you want to go after. You can kind of see how the mechanic adds a new element to the game, like a new strategic element where you're playing differently, and your opponents are really they're more wary of what they're discarding. But at the same time, the mechanic itself embodies what the social sin stands for. So it's really kind of wrapped up in this neat little package. Thanks for listening, and I really appreciate all the support. More to come. Thanks.